debut, Emilia-Romagna wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron Hart takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Dobbin around the outside of the line. Shadow is contact again. Ron Hart is around.
Beverly surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Everybody, and welcome along to World Online Racing League. This is PC Tier 2 and we are here at Italy once again. Well, not once again, for the start of round 2. It is Imola, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. First used in Formula 1 back in 1981. Took a little bit of a break for a little bit after a long time, but back in 2020 we went racing once again in real life, obviously due to some tracks not being able to race due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the fans loved it so much we went back racing last year as well, and we're racing this year as well in real life as well. So will we see the likes of Morgan Ball take his second victory of the season, or will we see a different winner go on top of the rostrum? My name is Shesh, your commentator for this evening, and what a fantastic race we saw last time out at the amazing Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Well, I only saw the last few laps because the stream ended early, but the last few laps are on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But there was a late safety car that pretty much really shook things up a little bit. We weren't sure on what tyres people were going to be on, which will be the best strategy. Quite a lot of people went for the softs, but Morgan Ball was able to defend quite a lot on his 11 lap, 13 lap old medium tyres and stayed to the end to take the win of the race. And he had no penalties as well, and no penalties around Spa is absolutely huge, so big well done to him. Another driver who also done well here as well is Jack Laverty. He took P2, his first podium of the season after moving down from Tier 1, and Drake Dempsey took the final podium spot in P3, so they're the top 3 in the championship. Drake Dempsey has a lot to capitalise on tonight because Jack Laverty is not going to be here tonight. So we do have a reserve in his place, but plenty of chance for the likes of Drake, Lenny Papinta, who got pole last time out, to score some decent points. Paul Eckermeyer finished in 5th position last week, a decent result for him. Camille, one of our reserves, finished in 6th last week. And we had Saiter, Chandler Saiter, finished in 7th. And one of our other reserves, Vita, I think it was Josh, who finished in 8th. Leonard finished in 9th, and Fritzen was your final point scorer in P10. And what does that do with the Constructors' Championship? Well, McLaren are leading, 48 points to their name. Haas in 2nd with 18 points. Mercedes 3rd, 12 points. 4th is Aston Martin with 10 points. Williams in 5th with 6. Red Bull in 6th on 1 point. And then AlphaTauri, Alpine, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo yet to score. And there's a few drivers making their debuts tonight. Obviously a few people didn't make last week. Obviously one of our tier coordinators, Jay, is here tonight after taking a nice rest last week from doing the 24 hours of Daytona. His team actually won the event as well, so a big congratulations to him. So before we actually get started with the qualifying session, let's have a little bit of a history of the track. Well, there was testing it on the track in 1952 by Ascari, and there was a corner, obviously at Monza, that was named after him as well. The circuit was inaugurated since then as a motorcycling championship, so MotoGP I think would have raced here as well. And the Grand Prix Nations had a race here as well, and for over 25 years F1 remained in Imola, and obviously there was some few changes obviously in the past due to some unsafe things that happened in 1994. We don't really want to go into too much detail into that. And there's tyre safety barriers as well. The Tamburello curve was made to be a little bit safer as well, so quite a few interesting changes there. So without further ado, we are gonna get started with this qualifying session, and I hope you are as hyped as I am to get this session underway, as I'm going to try and find someone on an lap as well whilst we do it. So here we go then. So this is a 60-minute qualifying session. We're different to Tier 1. Tier 1 is kind of exclusive of them getting a full qualifying session. But here, obviously, in Tier 2, we got a short qualifying session just like every other tier as well. So, in the Haas tonight, replacing Jack Laverty is Simon Viter, who had a good result last time out in, I can't remember what car he was in last week as well. David is making his Tier 2 debut as well. Marcus will be filling in as well. And I think both the Houses can't make it tonight. Or it might be just Simon is full time. I don't know. But both the Houses can't make it. So some of the ones are filling in their place. So let's go on board then with a lap with Mark 313 as you go past the Tamburello curve, which is one of the famous chicanes in Formula 1. It's technically a very good chicane actually. Now you're going to be heading towards the Variante Villeneuve. Very, very, very tight as well. Super fast in these current generation of Formula 1 cars. Turn 7 into Tosa, a long open hairpin. Now it's not too so the exit that you get is absolutely crucial. Turn 8 can be taken flat out very easily. You come over a crest and you must make sure you keep your car to the right hand side of the track for the best approach to turn 9, the fastest and probably most exciting corner of the track. You're going to be past Piroletta and heading towards Aquamarali. The chicane is much tighter than the first couple of chicanes, as unfortunately Mark has invalidated his lap time, so he unfortunately will be going again then very soon as I just get the tyres up. There we go. So quite a mixture of tyres, so it is a suggestion that we're going to have a dry start to the race as Leroy Brown puts his car on to provisional pole position. So let's see, I think Morgan Ball has just started a lap, but his teammate of Drake Dempsey, who got a podium last week, as he heads now towards Riverazza, towards turn 19 now, one of the only DRS straights on around this track, and it is a 1:14.502. On the mediums, a respectable time on the medium compound tyres. We've got some Haas cars coming up to the line as well. Marcus comes across the line and he unfortunately invalidates. We've got AlphaTauri of Kevin. He also was quite decent as well. He felt like he would have wanted to improve though on his result last week. And we got Saita up into P4 as well. Obviously a banker lap for him. I'm sure he can go a lot quicker than his time right now, so we'll see what he could do as well. The other Ferrari of David is on his outlap. We got one of the Red Bulls of Fritzen, I believe, who is heading past Aquamarali. Well, not Aquamarali, going into Tosa actually. His purple is set to 1 right now, so looking quite good. Morgan Buttle, last week's race winner, currently is on top of the timing sheets with a 1:13.8. The 1:13s is what we saw Tier 1 do a little bit earlier on. Aquamarali then go up the hill, keep to the left as you possibly can. Very, very tight as well as you head towards the Variante Outer of turn 14 and turn 15. Very easy to run wide here, as I've done here on a couple of occasions. Let's just go on board with Fritzen. Actually, it looks very tidy lap for him at the moment. Not an invalidation, which is great to see as you go around about 5th gear here into Riverazza. Final corner. What the lap time is it going to be for Fritzen? P2. Very, very good lap time for him. Slots just behind Morgan Ball. What about the Alpine car of Jay Fajardo making his return to Tier 2 after last season in Brazil? And he slots his car into P4. Not too shabby time from him either. So let's see who else will be yet to set a lap. We've got Jonah Martins now. he is a driver that we got to talk about. I know he's invalidated his lap, but he's a driver that we got to talk about with interest because he did a George Russell last week. He caused the final safety car, and he was absolutely gutted with himself that he binned it into no name, and that's what ended his race. He was on course to be actually winning the race, actually. So I did a bit of commentator's curses for him, but hopefully he'll get a much better result here as well. Paul Eckelmeyer unfortunately has invalidated, but the lap times wouldn't be enough to slot himself into the top 10 anyway, so he'll probably be going again. David in the Ferrari managed to get a lap in and slots himself into P10 then. So most people have done their first laps already around Imola, and there'll be a few people going into the pits. Now, the ones who went on to the medium tyres, they'll still have 3 sets of softs left, so they'll be able to go again on that. So let's get a few drivers' thoughts while a few people go into the pits. We got someone on his lap now, actually, who's gone purple in Sector 1. Leonard, who is reserve, filling in for one of the Alfa Romeos. Villacampa can't make it this week, so Leonard is in his place again. Leonard did terrible in Belgium last week. He said he binned it in quali and the penalty cost him P4. That was what his thoughts was. But he likes Imola though, and his favourite part of the track is turn 14 and turn 15. And that's a part of the track which I find quite difficult and I don't like as well. So obviously Leonard has put a little bit of practice around this part of the track. He's put 1 hour of practicing, but sometimes that's enough for some of these drivers because you got to make sure you give it everything. And he's aiming for a top 5 here tonight. Can he get a top 5 in qualifying? Well, he's on official pole position at 1:13.7. That is more than a top 5 to me, my friend. That is looking pretty decent to me as well, as we've got Drake Dempsey, Lenny Papinta, Jack and Kevin on their outlaps as well. FRA Jack on his outlap, another driver who answered the questions. Now let me just tell you what the questions were as well, just for a few people that were wondering what the questions were. So I asked him, how do you think last week went for you? Did you meet your goals from the race? And I also asked him how you're finding Imola and what's been your biggest challenges about the track this week and what are your goals for today's race. So Jack said it was a very difficult race. However, he knew it would be for his first race on PC because he just came from Xbox. He likes Imola, so you'll see how this track goes. He's aiming for a top 10 tonight. And quali has always been a weak point for him, so he's hoping to improve throughout the year and throughout the season. He's currently sitting in P14 at the moment with a 1:15.3, so still a lot of time to find as well. Drake Dempsey as well. He was very happy with his performance. P3 isn't a bad start to the season for him, he thought. And he also likes Imola. That is a common theme for all the drivers. Imola is one of their favourite tracks, and he could see good things happening. And the challenging parts of the circuit for him is where the setup doesn't seem right or when the curb kills. And I got to agree, the curbs can be quite deadly, especially as you head towards Tota in turn 7, Variante Villeneuve turns 5 and 6, and also Variante Alta as well. Basically, the chicanes where people find it the most typical as well, and Acqua Morale as well, because sometimes you've got to use the curbs to its full effect to really get the most out of the car. So we will have to wait and see how he does. Will he be able to take a race victory today? He got a race win on his debut in WOR PC last season. He also came from console. I can't remember what console he came on from. It's Lenny Papinta, last week's pole man. Currently slots into P1 with a 1:13.5, 2 tenths quicker than previous pole sitter Leonard. Drake Dempsey, can he get higher than Lenny Papinta? He does not, but he does go higher than WR Leonard and slots himself into P2. So really, really good for him. More people are on their laps right now, so let's go on board with a few of these drivers. Dave Rhombus is making his PC return tonight. He also races in Tier 1 on the Xbox side as well, so he's racing in 2 tiers for WR this season. So this is good practice for him for when he races in the pinnacle of Xbox racing tomorrow night. Obviously, I'd like to wish him the best of luck for that. Unfortunately, he has invalidated, so he'll be going again. Saita, who has also migrated over to the Xbox side, wants to do well here today too. And it also took him quite a while to get used on the PC. And look at that! P2 for him. That is something that I was not expecting from the Williams driver. That was really, really, really great to see. And what he said to me was last week's race in Belgium was the best he could have done on his first race on PC. And he doesn't like the final chicane. He said to me, it's the worst final chicane in existence. So I hope he's been practicing a lot for that tonight. But apart from that, he's feeling pretty good about this track. And his main goal for tonight is to get through the last chicane without losing half a second. So there we go. Who else is on our lap? We got one of the Aston Martins going through sector 3 now, as he heads towards Rabatza very, very soon. And we got a chain of cars going towards the final corner. So let's watch Paul first. What can he do? He slots his car into P8 then. We got one of the other McLarens of Morgan Bull. I believe he's about to start his lap. Yes, he's about to start his lap. Jay Verhaar improved on his lap time into P7. Slightly ahead, actually, of his teammate and Tier 2 champion from last season, JC as well. So we could see a little bit of a healthy competition there as well. And Alpine need to work a bit more together as well, because obviously they only had one team member last week scoring points. Well, not scoring points at all, which meant that Alpine are one of the 4 teams to not score any points. So they're leaving it a lot of work to do as well. Leroy Brown as well in 6th position. He was running quite well in the race last week, but unfortunately DNF'd quite early on. I believe he was one of the first to DNF from the race. And he's got to improve on his consistency, but maybe Imola is a track where he can improve on his consistency. Up to the line he goes, and he's currently slots himself into P6. So we've got 5 minutes and 30 seconds left to go of this qualifying session. Lenny Papinta currently leads the way with a 1:13.587 on the board. Nicely done from her. Can anybody beat him right now? Let us know your predictions in the chat as well. I'd like to know your thoughts on pole position as well. I think only a few people are out on track on their flying laps, including this man, Mark, who also had a bad race. Another DNFer from last week as he just passes Tosa as he now heads towards turn 8 and into Periata, as I probably said that corner wrong. And now heading towards the kick of turn 10 and heading towards Akmirali of turn 11 and 12. Takes it quite nicely as well. He may get a bit of a tar. I believe that's an Aston Martin in front of him. Yes, it is an Aston Martin. Or it might be a Mercedes, actually. Takes that curve very, very well as well. You only need to cut it just a little bit. You don't really want to cut it too much, because that is where we've seen quite a few drivers invalidate in the past then. So, here he comes then. Oh, he invalidates on the final corner of Ravazza, which is a shame, which means he goes into the pits, but at least he has time to improve. Lenny Papinta, he has probably time to find as well. He's got less fuel than he had in the car on his first few runs, but he is 1.5 seconds down on his previous best. So I wonder if he's just saving his battery now and then improving just a little bit later on. And we got Marcus as well in P10. Was very keen to be racing tonight. He was hoping a few drivers would be absent, and he's here, of course. He was the one who's migrated from the PlayStation side to the PC side. And to be honest, I was speaking about this last week on the stream. I think it's quite pivotal to make the move early on as well, because in the Pro Series, in F1 Esports, you will be racing on the PC side. So the sooner that you get the transition from console to PC, the better, and you'll have a strong advantage compared to the ones who made the transition a bit later as well. So Marcus doing the right thing there. A few 100s quicker than his previous best, almost a 10 quicker in fact, as he heads towards Tota as well. So here he comes then, heading towards turn 8, which you got to keep to the right hand side, heading towards turn 9, up Periata then, up the hill into turn 10 and heading towards turn 11 and 12. And not as nice as what we saw Lenny Papinta earlier on, as Lenny Papinta unfortunately invalidated his lap then. So he'll be going into the pits very, very soon then. And Marcus is also another driver that has invalidated, so he's got it all to do then for his final run. It is currently one shot qualifying for him, so not ideal for the driver who wants to score as high as they possibly can. As we got Paul Eckelmeyer, who's got a 5-place grid penalty for collision with his teammate Jonas Martins, which is a bit of a shame, a bit of a wake-up call, I have to say, as Scheiter goes and starts one of his final runs of the session. Now he's left it early because if he invalidates, he could go again, but you don't really want to be starting on 2-lap 1 soft tyres if you qualify inside the top 10. Obviously, Scheiter said that qualifying was his weak link, but he's showing that qualifying hasn't been his weak link today. But the track is getting his most grippiest, and it is the calm before the storm here in WOR. So plenty of opportunities for time to be found as well. So the later you leave it, well, you leave it all to do right now. So we'll see then. We'll see his middle sector very soon, and loads of people have done it today. Franco Morale just invalidated there. What a shame there from Scheiter, as unfortunately he is going to have one more attempt very, very soon. So we've got 1 minute and 18 seconds left to go on the clock then. Everyone is on track at the moment. Jack, I believe, won't do another lap. He parks it on the side of the track. Marcus has unfortunately retired from the session. He goes into the pits, I believe. We've got Chandler, going for his final run. We've got one of the Alpine drivers of JC about to do his final run. We've got the 2 Williams drivers as well. This is going to be absolute chaos at the moment, so grab your popcorn. It's going to be absolutely amazing as they make their way through this challenging circuit. So we're just keeping an eye on the 2 AlphaTauri drivers, and I believe one of them will be the first. No, they'll be on their outlaps actually. I think it will be one of the Red Bulls. So let's see which Red Bull it is. It would be Fritzen, but Fritzen unfortunately has invalidated his lap. Jonas Martins unfortunately retires from the session, and obviously he'll be starting 5 places worse than his original position as well. Simon Viter, not the best of qualifying so far. He's got it all to do right now. He was in the top 10, I believe, last week. He's currently sitting in P17 right now. We've got the 2 McLaren boys out on a run. Jake Dempsey passed turn 2. Morgan Bull, he won last week, can only manage P6 this week in qualifying. Next across the line, I believe, will be no, I'm just trying. It's hard to tell whether it's a Williams or an Alpine actually, but Scheiter cannot improve. He goes in to the pits. Next will be Paul Eckelmeyer. He can't improve. He goes into the pits as well. We got the 2 Alfa Romeos on a lap as Leroy Brown heads towards Rabatza, looking quite good so far. Can he get into the 1 minute 13s to Nick Lenny or pole position? Yes, he can. A 1:13.572, but Lenny is going quicker. We'll keep an eye on him in a second. We got the 2 AlphaTauris on a lap. They can't improve as one of them actually goes into the pit lane. Jay Verhaeghe could only manage P7 then on the grid. We'll keep an eye on Lenny Papinto actually, but unfortunately he has invalidated. So last week's pole man can't translate it to pole today, and he only slots himself into P2 but there's a lot of cars behind him on quicker laps, baby. So we'll find out, we'll see what Mark's slowing down a little bit as Jay is retired. Jake Dempsey up big on a quicker lap. No, he's not. We spoke too soon. So there we go. So that is your qualifying then. We've got 2 different pole sitters, and it is Leroy Brown that takes the top honours with a 1:13.572. And that rounds out your qualifying session for today, as all the drivers now head into the pits. My, oh my, that was electric qualifying session. No margin for error, and for some people, their final laps weren't enough. You know, you just had to get your best lap time early on. And obviously Leroy Brown was the exception to that rule. He left it all to the last moment and he took pole positions. Absolutely brilliant stuff from him. Hopefully he can recover from his DNF from last week. So we are about to go through the qualifying results then for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. There's Tier 1 going on at the moment, but you've got to be watching Tier 2 as well for the PC side. Leroy Brown then is on pole by 15,000 of a second. Quite close between himself and Lenny Papinta. So this could be a really good battle for the race. Chandler Saiter, in P3. Leonard in P4. Drake Dempsey in 5th. Morgan Bull 6th. JC in 7th. Jay Ahaha in 8th. Very good qualifying session for him. Mark in 9th. Paul Eckermeyer will start in 15th due to a 5-place grid drop. Jack in P11. Marcus in 12th. Then we got Hazzy, David, Fritzen, Taz, Kevin, Simon, Dave Rombus and Jonah Martins. So there we go then. That rounds up your qualifying. And that is not the first time that this track has been on the Formula 1 calendar in WOR. I was here last year as well. What great battling there was too. Obviously, we saw some different winners to make their name onto the WOR board. We saw Michael Mormonidis take his first win in WOR as well. On the PC side and on the Xbox side, it was Ethan as well. 4.9 kilometres long, 3.0 miles, 19 turns, 10 to the left and 9 to the right. And even though there are quite a few overtaking opportunities, there's only one DRS zone through turn 19 into the start of the Tamburello chicane of turn 1 and 2. So before we get into the race, let's look back some highlights from last season's proceedings. And let's start with Tier 2 on the Xbox side. It was the final lap and we're almost going free right into Rabatza. And there was contact and a few people had a bit of issues and it allowed Moritz to take the win. So we saw Antoine de Zalewski and Flores Fires was battling into the two chicanes as they head towards Variante Villeneuve. And you can see where that ended up there. They made contact, Flores Fires hits the wall, and that was the end of his race, unfortunately. So, here we go then. We are about to get started with this race. Very, very exciting stuff. And I hope you are all pumped for this. The second round of the season, as we're waiting for the drivers, obviously, to pick their setups. So, as I try to get the tyres up for you, as Simon's already been disqualified from the formation lap, so I'm guessing he's probably had a cup of coffee or tea and hasn't gone back to get it or something like that. But anyway, top 9 qualified on soft. They'll be starting on soft. Now, an interesting driver to keep an eye on for this race is Jack. He's the only one inside of the top 10 to qualify on the medium tyres. And it's either going to be a soft to medium or medium to soft strategy. So, that is going to be interesting. If he gets on the line well, it'll be pretty good for him. But he's going to have some fresh medium runners behind him of Marcus, of Hazib, of David, of Fritzen, of Taz, of Kevin, of Simon, who's obviously disqualified, of Days Rhombus and Jonas Martins. The only person outside the top 10 that has gone for the soft compounder tyres who wants to make their way as quickly as they can is Paul Eckelmeyer. Not what I would have done, but he's probably predicting an early safety car, which we saw, I believe, last season. Last season, remember, in Tier 2, it was quite overcast around here, so probably that's what his prediction is as well. Be keeping an eye on the fuel mixtures as well for the cars, because I won't be surprised if a few drivers have underfueled the cars to meet the needs of a possible safety car. But you can't count on a safety car. You just don't at this stage. And if there's no safety car and they underfueled it, they're going to be in a lot of trouble towards the end, and they're going to be lifting and coasting. So we are about to get started then for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix as the final few cars make their way on to the grid. I'm Jessica Ball, your commentator for this evening. As you can see the predictive pit stop strategy on your screen. Thinking that it could be a 2-stop race, but I'm almost certain it's going to be a 1-stop race. 5 red lights are on. And we are underway for round 2 of season 12, and Leroy Brown has had a good getaway from Lenny Papinta. Lenny Papinta's been caught nabbing from Saiter as they go side by side through turn 1 and heading towards the Tamburello chicane then of turns 2 and 3. That's where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have a bit of a battle. They all make their way very, very cleanly so far as they head towards turn 4. The Alfa Romeo looking a bit out out of shape then as they head towards turn 5 and 6 of Villeneuve. This is very clean racing from all of them so far, as we're seeing the Alpine cars making their way through the field. Paul Eckermeyer has had a brilliant start all the way up into P10 already. It shows that the soft tyres were definitely the right decision to be in, already within the top 9 cars already. Marcus not having the best of starts, dropping all the way down into 11th place. Fritzen and Kevin didn't have the best of starts, but apart from that, all good, as Leroy Brown is already almost within 1 second clear of Saito right now, but Lenny has dropped down from 2nd to 3rd. This is not good. He had a good start last week, but he wants to have a better start this week, I have to say, and that did not help him at all. So they come then for the first time this race, as we're about to start lap 2 then, as they're all in one massive train, as we're seeing the 2 Red Bulls fighting at the back at the moment, as we see someone make contact and they reset to track there, as Simon Viter then unfortunately is in last place. The only driver that's had a little bit of an issue so far, and he's got a long way to recover. We got Jack, who's making some headway at the moment, as Paul Eckermeyer has left the session, unfortunately. We're also seeing Leonard being under pressure from Drake Dempsey, but Lenny Bapinta is showing that you need to have good race pace. Not necessarily the best of starts, but he's got past Saito and up into P2 then, past into Tosa and heading towards turn 8. Brilliant stuff. And he's already pulling away from the Williams driver. And I wonder if the Williams driver is struggling a little bit, because Leonard is catching as they pass the Acqua Morale. They're using their ERS to this full advantage then. We're looking at Leonard's ERS. He's in 68% as they head towards turn 14 and turn 15. They come then. And we are going to be seeing more of the Aston Martins then fighting for position, as Paul Eckermeyer, what's happened to him? He was in P10 a moment ago, and now he's dropped to P7. He had a bit of a spin, and he's now fighting for P16. What a shame. That could have been a start of dreams for him. But now the hard work has come undone for the Aston Martin driver. I don't think he's got damage though, because he's still going. The gap is still tight up front. DRS will be activated, but don't forget, there's only one DRS detection point around this whole circuit. So you've really got to maximise your potential in as many corners as you can. And not many people will be using the DRS tactic as much as previous races in WRC has gone by. There was a lot of DRS zones in Belgium last week, if you remember. Obviously not here tonight. So, we got time penalties starting to come into fruition at the moment. But here we go, then. We're starting to see the first move then. As Jay's got a bit wide, he was almost going to go for a move there. That's allowed Mark to gain a lot of time on him as well. Let's go on board with Mark. He must be absolutely loving it as they head towards Rabatza. We're seeing some moves up front at the back. Jack has made his way into P12 at the moment, but he's 1.2 seconds behind Hazard, so that's going to allow the guys behind to get full potential into the DRS range. Lenny Bapinta used the DRS to full effect, and he is now your race leader then, and I wonder Leroy Brown will be using that potential in the next lap then. Saito could be catching up, but not very well indeed. Again, the Alfa Romeos could be looking good in the constructors. They didn't score many points last week with Leroy Brown. Obviously Leonard scored. I can't remember if Leonard scored or not actually, but obviously Alfa Romeo need to do a lot better than last week. And we're already almost into the first third of this race. Quite intense battling already from throughout the field. And we will look at the positions gained actually for the time being. So we'll see then who has gained the most then. So, Lenny Bapinta up 1 position. Leroy Brown down 1. Mark 313 up 1. Jay Verhaert down 1. Marcus up 1. Hazib up 1. Jack down 2. Taz up 2. Dave Rombus up 3. Jonah Martins up 1, as Jack has also got a 3-second time penalty there as well. So 2 people on the board. And we're seeing then that Leroy Brown tried to get the move on Lenny Papinta. Lenny Papinta made it look easy on the last lap, but Lenny Papinta was defending quite nicely to the Alfa Romeo, which allowed him to gain some more time, and Leroy Brown was just stuck in the dirty air as well. So not ideal as well, and that doesn't help your tyre temperatures around this track, as obviously the track temperature is getting hotter and hotter as this race develops. No sign of rain at the moment. I don't like to obviously know about the weather because I just don't. I just always like to leave it as a surprise at the moment. And I think we're starting to see some moves heading towards turn 8 as well. The two McLarens working together as well, potentially. Maybe not. But they got to make the move soon because there's a charging Alpine making their way towards turn 18 of 19 of Abatsa, who wants to get the move done ASAP as well. Mark Jay as well, also in that train, as we saw an Alfa Romeo getting very squirmy in the final corner. Leonard, who was behind Saita, who was looking to go for a move, is now being pressured by the McLaren driver then of Morgan Bull, heading towards turn 2. Last week's race winner is showing why he is a contender for the championship, and he's up to P5. A costly mistake from Leonard has also got to compromise the rest of this race, because look at this, JC is 4 tenths behind Leonard. That is a shame for him, but brilliant stuff from Morgan Bull as the two McLarens are working together. And Drake Dempsey then is up into 4th as well. So we saw Leonard go wide, Drake go past, and then Morgan was trying to do a similar move, but obviously Morgan had to work for it just a little bit more. And McLaren are leading the Constructors' Championship, and they could be by the end of this race as well. So I have to say, brilliant stuff. And I believe someone wants an invite to the session. So I will try and sort that out. Just give me a second, guys, as I try and add someone to my friend list. And I will try and invite Paul into the session, if I can find him. I can't seem to find him at the moment. Where is he? I thought I added him as a friend. It may take a while to refresh. Oh, there we go. Here he is. As we're seeing a move from P3 of this race. Chandler, is struggling a little bit as Dre Dempsey is up into P3. The guy who finished P3 last week is on course for P3 this week. As Jay, one of his favourite tracks on the calendar, has come undone. He's now out of this race and he binned it into Villeneuve. And that was very costly. And could this be the start of a safety car? I don't think we've got a safety car. No, I don't think we've got a safety car. So we're going to keep going then, but there are yellow flags in sector 1 and sector 2. So they unfortunately cannot improve. As Paul, if you're listening, I just sent you an invite. So hopefully you can try and get into the session. That's the annoying thing for being a solo commentator. The co-com could not invite because it's just me. But obviously next week I will have a co-com alongside me, so they'll be able to send the invite as well, as we're looking for a battle for the lead then. Leroy Brown versus Lenny Papinta, the battle of the Titans as they head towards the Tamburello chicane. Leroy Brown, that was perfectly executed, my friend, and he's now your race leader. But Lenny Papinta is still on the cusp of getting P1. He's on the gearbox of Lenny Papinta, heading towards Tota then. But again, so hard to overtake here as they go up the hill with the dirty air. Let's go on board with Lenny Papinta. Oh my goodness, I am absolutely loving this battle between these two. It's just absolutely incredible. So obviously get your predictions, everybody, for who you think is going to be winning this race. And there's quite a few contenders as well. So we have migrating host. Hopefully that doesn't cause a problem with the lobby, and hopefully that doesn't cause a problem with the stream. But we're seeing more battles up and down the field as well. JC being the only Alpine driver now at the moment, so he's got it all to do to score points for Alpine and the Constructors, one of the only teams to not score any points this season. And we're already on round 2 as Morgan Bull is trying to go on the attack once again. Chandler Saito could be losing another position here into the Tamburello chicane, which he does not. Drake Dempsey is also in this lead fight for P1 of this race. Kevin is now out of the race as well. So many mistakes at the moment. And I wonder if Kevin retired in the pit lane or if he retired somewhere else. I will obviously need to keep an eye on that at the moment. But Drake is looking absolutely furious and brilliant. No, not furious, feisty and brilliant, I should say. He's not furious at the moment. He's quite happy with himself that he's currently sitting in P3. Let's look at his ERS usage at the moment. 41%, I have to say. That looks pretty good at the moment. We'll see Lenny Papinta's ERS. He's on 98. Okay, so he's hardly used any ERS at all, and he's trying to attack from Leroy Brown. I have to say, if I do say it so myself, that is the best ERS management I've seen in a while. But I thought Lenny would go all attack mode at the moment. So Lenny needs to start pushing at the moment. He can't afford to be saving his ERS for a long time, and he's a little bit further back to Leroy Brown, which gives the room for Drake Dempsey to go attack as well, and be the prancing horse then, heading towards turn 3. Now going on at this long straight, then heading towards Villeneuve, which is quite tight as well. So many fast chicanes, which quite a lot of people have gone off today. And any one of these drivers do not want to be the victims, I have to say, of those chicanes. For some people, it would be deadly chicanes right now. So, nobody in this race has pitted so far. The ones that have pitted obviously have retired, and it was Kevin that retired in the pit. Okay. So, that explains that. So, I would probably want to find out a bit more from Jay, actually, very, very soon, about, maybe after the race, actually, about how he retired. Because I did actually see, it was around about Villeneuve area, so probably was the right-hand side of it, I don't know. But I will find out from him after the race, because I'm usually in good message communication with him anyway. So, few drivers then into the pit as expected, because the softs can only last 13 laps. Leroy Brown in, Saito in. Obviously Marcus staying out because he's on the mediums. Quite a few people then are going on to the medium compounded tyres to get to the end of the race. It's going to be a bit of a push, but if there's no safety cars, this could be huge. So that leaves Lenny Papinta to try and fight off Drake Dempsey. But you got to be careful. You don't want to be held up in this battle too long. We're going to see, actually, if the likes of Leroy and Chandler Saito is in clear air. I will need to actually double check that. I think Leroy Brown is in clear air. So, yeah, he is in clear air. 9.3 seconds, so he could gain more time right now in this lap. He's got to have the best outlap that he could possibly can, to be honest. He's got to absolutely fly at the moment. And to be honest, he's got to do all he can. So that is not good for Lenny Papinta, because he's just in a battle. Same with Jake as well. These two have got to go in to the pit. Lenny stays out. I don't know why Lenny stays out. The more time that Lenny is staying out on the track, the more he's falling victim to the undercut. And I wonder if the undercut is powerful or not. As we're seeing the other soft runners come in. Leonard is in. Drake's in. Let's ride on board with Leroy then, as he heads towards Rabatza. Well, past Rabatza anyway. So here he comes. And we'll see then, can he get ahead of Drake Dempsey? Yes, he can. Quite comfortably. So that should strike the fear of Lenny Papinta that he's still out. Probably his race engineer should tell him to come into the pits, because he knows that the gap's going to get bigger and bigger. And obviously with the two McLarens pitting before Lenny Papinta, probably we could have a McLaren 2-3 then. So, quite intense then as well. And once Lenny comes in into the pit lane, that will mean Marcus will inherit the lead of this race. Obviously, they will have to pit around about laps 20, 21, and they'll be going on to the soft tyres then. We'll see how the medium runners fare. Can they pull the alternate strategy of dreams? I haven't seen the alternate strategy work quite well, but that was because every Imola race I have commentated, there's been safety cars. So we will see if it works here. Lenny Bapinta then is gone on to a set of the medium tyres. Let's keep an eye on Leroy. Surely Leroy's going to go ahead of Lenny Bapinta. As Morgan Ball sets the fastest lap then. We got a yellow flag as one of the Aston Martins of Paul Eckermeyer has, I think, binned it somewhere. So both Leroy and the two McLarens are ahead. And Lenny Bapinta, this is bad news for him. Not only he's behind the McLarens, Saita and J-Steel are ahead of him as well. That is why you should not stay out for a few extra laps compared to your rivals. Even though you're going to be on the fresher tyre, you're going to be in huge traffic now. And it's going to be very hard to try and get past now. And the advantage that you'll have on the fresher tyres, they will, to be honest, they will just come undone. They will just come undone at this stage. So, oh my word, I'm going to be, honestly, a bit worried if I was Lenny. But still a long way of this race to go. We're not even halfway yet. In a few laps time we'll be halfway. I think 3 or 4 laps time actually. But with Lenny being on the fresher tyres, he's got to get past. He's got to get past. If he does not get past, surely he will only be in a net P6 for the rest of the race. He's got no penalties though, and he is a quicker driver. So he gets past one car as Morgan Ball actually gets past his teammate of Drake Dempsey. Oh, as my keys were playing up for some weird reason at the moment. There we go. So Morgan Ball up to 11th position of this race. A net P2 now for him. And it's nice to see actually the two McLaren boys working together to really minimise the results for this race and keep the constructors' battle alive and kicking. So what is the battle looking like for the front for the ones on the mediums? Fritzen is closing up to David in a Ferrari. But he's pushing on his ERS. What about David's ERS? He's got plenty of ERS. So surely it's advantage David for now on the similar tyre life that they have got. So let's go on board with Fritzen actually as they make their way towards the kink of turn 1. But Fritzen just had enough ERS to make the move past, and he had the DRS as well. So Fritzen is up to P2 of this race. Not a net P2, that belongs to 2 McLarens. As Drake Dempsey gets past his teammate once again, up to P12. Jack's out! Jack's out of the race! Let's go on board. I want to see actually, oh! Surely that's got to be a safety car. Surely. Surely that's got to be a safety car. And I wonder if safety cars are reduced actually. Because I'm just wondering why we haven't... Oh yeah, we got a safety car. We have got a safety car, so that has really made the medium runners smile with absolute, amazement. Because they could be on course for a very good result. But it's far too early to go for softs. But if I were them, I would risk it. I would risk it. I know the tyres will be puncture territory, but I would risk it at this stage. But I am not the strategist at the moment. These guys are. Obviously, they race on this game a little bit more than me and a lot better than me. So, here they come then. Marcus comes in, and I do see soft tyres for a lot of these drivers. For Marcus, for David. Literally all the medium runners that started on the mediums are going on to softs. Surely everybody else will have to be forced to go onto the softs then. We got Morgan Ball. He was a net P2. He's gone onto the softs as well, but he's down in 16th. This could be huge. He's got to get past loads of cars. He was on the soft to medium strategy last week. He was the one who was like, you know what, I would want to stay on the mediums to get to the end. He's doing exactly the opposite of that. And decided, you know what, I want to do an ambitious strategy and try and get past, obviously, as many cars as I possibly can. So, let's run through your order then. That has shaped things up quite a lot due to Jack's retirement. And that was a nasty crash, unfortunately. A very nasty crash. And what happened to Jay, actually? Jay Verhaert, to cause his retirement. Unfortunately, he loaded the wrong setup and he had no rear grip, which what cost him to be a lot slower. So, that is a bit of a shame there. So, 3 retirements so far in this race. Hopefully, we don't get any more. But this has been a good race so far. We're already halfway. And thank you to those of you that have just joined. And it gives me a perfect opportunity to plug a few things. If you are liking this action at the moment, we stream pretty much almost every day at WOR, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch. So if you like this content, make sure you click the subscribe button, turn that red button into a grey button, and hit that notification bell so you know when to see videos and races next. Don't forget there's Xbox Tier 1, which is on tomorrow night, 8 PM on the YouTube channel, and they'll also be racing around Imola. We've got Xbox Tier 2, which will be on our Twitch channel, and the link to the Twitch channel can be found in the description. And we got PS Tier 1, that will also be racing around Imola Friday night at 8 PM. And of course, we've got Tier 1 on the final few laps as well. And they're on at 7 PM with their full qualifying session. And we are also proudly partnered this season by SimStaff, a very good company which has worked with prestigious companies in the past. So if you want to check them out, link to their website is in the description. And if you want to see the standings and want to keep in touch with the standings throughout the season, there's also links to that in the description. I nearly said subscription there. My oh my. And also join our Discord as well, our WOR Discord. We have a lot of our drivers in there as well, and a lot of people, well-known people in this community. So check those out. And you can also follow me on Twitter as well, at JessGames95. I just recently hit 2,000 followers, which I have to say I'm very, very happy about, to be fair. But I don't want to boast about that too much now, because we've got a race on our hands. So, the safety car is going to be in for one final lap. So, we're going to keep an eye on who is going to be the ones to watch out for. Watch out for this guy. The leading alternate strategy runner, Marcus Fell. He's got to be the one that leads the charge from the soft runners behind. And he's got to try and get past as many medium runners as he possibly can. He's on the better tyre. If he doesn't get past now, when the safety car restarts, then when the tyres go off at the end, the mediums are going to be a lot better tyres. So, and to be fair, just looking at the deltas between the soft and the medium tyres, 9 tenths per second. Soft to hards 1.3. That is why not many people are going for the hards, ladies and gentlemen, because the hards are just so slow, you don't really want to be touching it. I tried that for one of my races last week. Yeah, you don't want to be doing it at the moment. So, the drivers are weaving their tyres up because obviously they were at full race pace, most of these guys on the medium, so they will try and get it up. And the ones on the softs, well, obviously they just pitted and they haven't done any racing laps on them, just obviously safety car laps. So you don't really want to be spinning it into the Tamburello chicane. So usually around turn 14, 15 is when we get the safety car is in this lap notification. And I was right. And I remember there was a race where the safety car notification was there when the leaders were in the final corner. But luckily we didn't get that today. So Leroy has got an impossible task to try and defend from a very chasing Drake Dempsey and Lenny Pepinter, as well as the soft runners up front. As soon as he floors it, he can't slow down. He's got to absolutely nail it into that final corner. And he's even getting a little bit too late. And Drake has fallen off. Jake's fallen off. This is good news for Lenny Pepinter. Lenny Pepinter's had a good restart as they go side by side, heading towards turn 1 now, heading towards turn 2. This is now biting stuff at the moment as we see a few soft runners fall by the raceline as they try to make moves. Into turn 3 they come then. Marcus stays in P8, not the starts that he would have wanted right now, but look at that, the Alpine car of JC's up into 5th position. He got past Mark quite comfortably as they head towards Tosa. Look at the Haas car, he is on a charge, he is hungry for it, he wants to be the one who gets his best result of the season, and probably one of his only best results of the season because it's one of his first races, as he's trying to attack from Leonard up to Aquamarali. That is really hard to try and make a move, but obviously he doesn't want to make a risk there. You can see the soft tire ever so quicker, but the dirty air is just not helping me at all. But Leonard was early on the brakes, so Leonard did not want to fight that. Marcus is up position, up into P7. Marcus's next target of attack is Mark 313. The two Marks, Marcus versus Mark. Fritzen, another of the soft runners. Leonard is falling. He is falling. He's realised the soft runners are going by quickly. Morgan Bull is not making any headroom at the moment. Last week's race winner, he can't get past the likes of Paul Ekamaya and Taz. So, maybe he should have stayed with the medium runners, because Leroy Brown and Drake, they're having a good start to this race, a good restart to this race. So maybe he should have been by them, and maybe he could have kept Lenny Pepinter at bay, but you got to take your bed and lie on it sometimes. Sometimes you make those mistakes, and you never know, there could be a last-minute safety car. There could be opportunities for Morgan Bull to get back into this race. So thank you to those of you that have joined us so far. A massive 22 people are watching this stream. And we've seen JC actually get another penalty. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers on penalties at the moment. And we're starting to see more drivers on the penalty board, Marcus being one of them. And I think he could get past Mark 313 into the start of Rabatza then. Can he get it on the inside? Yes, he does. A little bit of a tank tapper though. But he just about gets it up to 6th place. And surely this could be a move for JC. DRS will be activated in the next lap. So I think maybe the next lap is where we could get the opportunity to get past, but just not quite now at the moment. As David, he's having a good time on those soft tyres. He's a second leading soft runner, and he's now also got to try and get past Mark as well. So I think the more that the two soft runners at the front are trying to get past, it will allow the likes of Hazard and Simon to try and get past as well. Morgan Bull has got past Dave Rombers and Paul Ekamaya into Tosa then. Turn 7, he's now up into 14, so he's starting to fight back. This is not over. Morgan Bull is still winning that DRS train. But how much longer will those softs start to be the best tyre? Will we get the point where they would be the worst tyre? I really don't know. I really don't know at this point. Make sure that you tune in to the rest of this race to find out the outcomes of this race. So we'll keep an eye on the battles at the front. Lenny Pepinter not making any edgeway at the moment, but I might be wrong here, as he's going to try and make the move into turn 2 very soon. Drake also has a DRS at this moment in time. He could get past Leroy Brown. Let's go on board with Drake Dempsey then, as we head towards turn 2 and 3. Brilliant stuff for Drake Dempsey as he inherits the lead of this race. What's that do then for Leroy Brown? He's still on the gearbox then. This is not over yet. He could get the move into Tosa then, but Lenny Pepinter could do the exact same thing. Could he go for a late lunge? No, he does not. The top three stay as they are, but Drake Dempsey could be on course to be having a second McLaren win in a row. I think it could be a different McLaren though, but Drake Dempsey does have no penalties. Marcus is getting past the medium runners quite quickly then. As he gets past Saito then. Saito was in third place and now he's dropped down into P6. Marcus up to fifth, but due to his penalties, he will probably drop down quite significantly. So that's why he's got to get past the drivers quite quickly as well. Marcus can't afford to be out of the DRS Oblate Papinta, so he's got to get past JC first. So we'll walk right on board with Lenny Papinta actually, as he's going to have his next attempt and try and get past Leroy Brown. Up to the line. Marcus eventually gets past JC. No need to go on board with him there because that was an easy move. But Paul Eckermeyer is setting the timing screen to light at the moment. He sets the fastest lap of the race. As we're seeing then, no one has been very, very brave since the safety car restart to go for the move towards Villeneuve and Tota. Not many people have done that yet. I think the only people that's been close to doing that is Marcus. So if I were you, Marcus, I would do it now. Because Marcus is on that lead battle now. He's on that lead battle and DRS train. He is having, to be fair, the safety car was lucky for him, I've got to admit. But sometimes you got to have luck in motorsport. But you also got to have the skill as well. If you're not as fast as some of these drivers, then the pace advantage on those softs may just come redundant. So Marcus is doing very, very well to keep up with the top three. But more importantly, can he get past Lenny Papinta? I literally do not know what's going to happen, and we're almost to the end of this race already. This race has gone so quickly. I'm absolutely enjoying commentating on this action, and I really do hope you're enjoying watching this action as well. As we got Marcus then. I don't think he's close enough to get past Lenny Papinta. He's not. Lenny Papinta was not able to get past Leroy Brown, which is allowing Drake to extend his advantage ever so slightly. Fritzen has had a bit of an off then. So Fritzen dropped down to P16. I don't think there's any damage to his front wing there. So I think he is all A-okay at the moment. 1 tenth now is the gap between Marcus Fowl and Lenny Papinta. I don't know which way to look. Morgan Bull, who was penalty free last week, he has got a penalty this week. So he's gonna hope there's no safety car, because otherwise he's gonna lose a heap of time. Marcus, he was gonna be very, very brave there. Jesus. But he decided to not go for the move there. Surely he's got to go for the move now then, as he heads towards. He's past Variante Basse now, and then heading towards turns 1, and then towards the Variante Tamburello. Here they come. It could be free abreast here. Leroy Brown got the move done on Drake Dempsey. Drake Dempsey was holding on for dear life, but I think he was more worried about Lenny Papinta and Marcus Fowl in the background. And that's what cost him a little bit. Leroy Brown is now your race leader once again. The race lead could change hands ever so slightly. Make sure you stay until the end of this race, because this race is far from over. Still, many things could go right and wrong for these drivers. And don't forget, the top 10 can score points. Since there's a few new people that have joined the stream, let us know. Who do you think's going to win this race? And just a quick summary of what happened. There was a safety car which allowed the ones who started on the mediums to go on to the soft compounded tyres. So they got the upper hand, while Marcus has got the upper hand. David not taking full advantage at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see. This could be very, very tense. JC still could be in this fight. Chandler Saiter, due to those penalties and lack of penalties, he will probably be on the podium charge as well, so don't count him out. So let's watch these three as they head towards turn 2. Here we come. Oh, the sweeping turn 2 goes straight Dempsey. The race lead once again. I have to say, that was a textbook move from Drake Dempsey then. But again, Marcus just wasn't able to get the move done, and that's allowing the likes of JC and Saito just to close in ever so slightly. And we're seeing the two Aston Martins going side by side, heading towards Tosa. I thought no one was actually going to go for a move there, but these two were like, hang on. I could change that, so probably they can read my mind as I head towards turn 9 now. Well, turns 8 and 9. Jonas Martins then, who crashed out last week in the late safety car, is on for getting his first point of the season, and due to people's penalties, and technically he's still winning this lead chain, so he could still potentially be on for maybe a top 6 maybe. So that'll be a much better result compared to last week, obviously. And he could kick his championship campaign off to a brilliant start. Now, jump off to the lead battle once again. Oh my goodness, this is going to be very, very close. I don't know which way to look, but let's keep an eye on Leroy Brown. Can he do a similar move to what we saw for Drake Dempsey? It's like they've been switched positions all throughout. Drake Dempsey was looking like he was trying to defend there, but he may want the DRS probably on towards the final few laps. Marcus almost got the move done there. Yellow flag. That is a Alfa Romeo of WOR Leonard. So Leonard is currently down in 15th. He was on for a top 10 finish, but unfortunately so many things have not gone his way tonight. And I have to say, I feel very, very bad for him at the moment. So he has got a lot of work to do for next week when we go to round number 3 in Russia, where Russia is also a penalty track. As Fritzen has just got a time penalty as well. The two Aston Martins are still fighting for position. Just look at that. They're just so close to each other, I have to say. I'm absolutely loving this, but I wonder if the team bosses at Aston Martin are probably not loving this, because they're probably telling their drivers to not really race too much. But they're still doing it anyway. Lenny Bapinta on Drake Dempsey. Drake Dempsey on Leroy Brown. This could be 3 abreast. This could be good news for Marcus. Marcus could just back off a little bit. Drake Dempsey and Lenny Bapinta both got past Leroy Brown in one move. Leroy Brown looked like he did not defend there, and that backfired. And we got another retirement on Fritzen. He retired in the pit lane, so no safety car. But Drake Dempsey, brilliant. Lenny Bapinta, brilliant, but it all went wrong for Leroy Brown there, so Leroy Brown has got a lot of work to do. Don't forget Marcus will drop down a few places due to penalties, but not that many, because Chandler and Hazif are the only drivers inside the top 10 to not get penalties. Jonah Martins also with no penalties too. We are down to 16 drivers in this race. And we're keeping an eye on Marcus' DRS actually. He's hardly got any. So he's been on the attack mode for pretty much most of this stint, since he pitted onto the soft compounder tyres. These softs are on the cusp of dying. So they've got to be pretty much doing all they can, lifting and coasting all that, to make sure they do not get any punches. Yellow flag. I think that's a spin. That's Morgan. I think that's Morgan. Who's had a bit off? Yes, it is. It's Morgan Ball, last week's race winner. Unfortunately, can't take the race win here today. Lenny Bapinta got the move into turn 2 very well, and he got past Drake Dempsey then. So Lenny Bapinta, who got pole last week, couldn't convert it to a win last week either. But he could be on course to be taking the win today. So it just goes to show that some people may not want pole, because you statistically in WOR PC Tier 2. Usually, starting second or third is the better option at the moment. So the final few laps, I just don't know how this is going to go. I really don't. Pretty much there's 11 cars on the lead train. And literally any one of those 11 cars could win this race. We could see a Xbox Tier 2 situation from last season, where so many cars could just like pile into each other. But we do have a prediction from the chat. Sin has said Lenny would win, because obviously he has no penalties. I don't know at this stage. I really don't know. Thankfully, you're the one predicting in the chat and not me, because if something goes wrong for them, I can blame you. And I don't think Lenny Papinta was fighting that one too much. He wasn't. So I think they're using the esports DRS tactic there. As Lenny Papinta is now dropped down to P2. Leroy Brown still keeping Marcus at bay. So I wonder if the softs now are starting to die a little bit. And I wonder if the mediums are becoming a better tire. I think this is what it's been doing at the moment. I did say earlier, Marcus needs to get past the medium runners ASAP in order to avoid being in this situation. But obviously, the top three are very quick drivers. They've been quick drivers for a very long time. So it's going to be harder for him. But this will still be a very good result for Marcus regardless. I do still believe he'll still get points due to the fact a lot of people in the top 10 will get penalties. Jonas Martins then gets past Simon. I wonder if Simon's had an off somewhere. He does. Where's that? That is past Akamurali actually. That was a bit unfortunate for him. Now, look at the EOS of Lenny Papinta. He's on 62%. I did say earlier on, if you were listening to the stream earlier, he has hardly been using EOS this race. He's only been using it when he needs it. And he's been saving it for the final moment. Here he comes then. If I were him, I would not go for the move there because you want to have DRS on the final lap. But he's going for it anyway. So here we go then. Lenny Papinta leads. Drake Dempsey second. Leroy Brown third. JC's in this. JC's got past Marcus, and that strongly confirms my fact that the softs are just dead. Because the medium runners are starting to pull away from the soft runners now. So, Morgan did not do the right thing for pitting when the other soft runners have pitted. The ones who were on the right strategy were the medium tyre runners. Leroy Brown's got a penalty. That is huge. Chandler Saiter, who was P3 in qualifying, dropped down to 6th on the road in the race due to the fact that he's got no penalties. He could be on course be getting P3 due to him having no penalties. But I need to keep an eye on the warnings though. He's probably on 2 warnings now, so he can't afford to get another warning because otherwise he'll be on penalties. Jonah's out of the race. Oh, he almost made the same mistake as last week. Oh, what a shame. We could be on course, be getting a good result, and he just binned it in at the deadly chicane that he was talking about earlier. And if it was a few laps to go, that would have definitely been a safety car. But not anymore. Final lap of this race. Here we come then. Turn 2, and they come as they make contact. Lenny Papinta, Drake Dempsey made contact then. This could go to the stewards then. We're going to see JC go for the move on Leroy Brown. This is going absolutely mental on the final lap. They're going all at it. They've been taking it to the last moment, but it may be too little too late for these guys at the moment. Turn 7 they go, and we're seeing the limping car of Drake Dempsey with a damaged front wing. He was on course to be fighting Lenny Papinta for the race win, and he's now into 9th place. What a shame. The outcome will be to soon to be released. Chandler, he's got no penalties. I thought he could be on for P3. He could be on for a race victory if Lenny Papinta doesn't get his act together. But you never know. They've gone past the deadly chicane for the final time. And Lenny Papinta's pulled the gap that he needs to. Lenny has driven superb, but there will be investigation, I presume, to the final lap calamities with the stewards. Lenny wins the race in Imola for round 2. Leroy, oh, there's jumping everywhere. Chandler gets 2nd place due to no penalties. Brilliant stuff. Leroy gets 3rd. Marcus with a brilliant P4. I'm surely he'll be happy with that because he only has 3 seconds of penalties. Martin 5th. David in 6th. Drake recovers to 7th. Jay, due to the amount of penalties he's got, dropped to 8th. Hazif 9th, and Paul gets in your top 10 and is your final point scorer. Chandler Saiter. Well, he said he wants to keep it clean. Well, to be fair, he had a poor race from his end, I would assume. But from the final few laps, I think his main focus was just to keep it penalty free, and that's helped him get on the podium for the first time. That is his first PC podium. Don't forget, he's an Xbox driver as well. That is a statement that Xbox drivers can make it work on the PC. We saw it with Jake Benham. We saw it with Ronha. We saw it with lots of other Xbox drivers. So, brilliant stuff from Chandler Saiter. I'm sure he's going to be one very happy bunny when we speak to him in the interview booth. My oh my, I didn't know what to do. But this was almost a situation where you had to go for the move. Drake had to go for the move, but it was a little bit too risky. But Lenny, here's your victor. Got pole last week, didn't get the win. He didn't get pole last week, didn't get the win. Well, he got the win. So, 2 different pole sitters, 2 different race winners. Can we make it 3 for 3 for both next week when we get to Russia? 3 different constructors on the podium. So, here are your race results then. Lenny Papinta wins. The Frenchman, starting second, wins the race by 1.9 seconds to Chandler Saiter in second. Leroy Brown in third. Marcus in fourth. 11th to 4th. Brilliant stuff. Mark 313. Well, to be honest, it could only go better for him at this stage because he DNF'd last week. I'm sure he'll be happy with that performance, and so am I. Brilliant performance, P5. David from P13 to 6th. He's had a very miraculous comeback as well, so brilliant stuff for him. I believe it's his first race. Drake Dempsey in 7th. JC in 8th. Hazir in 9th. Paul Ekamara in 10th. And then your final finishers are Leonard, Simon, Morgan Ball, and Taz and Dave Rombus. And your retirements, while Jonas Martins are still technically classified, Fritzen, Jack, Kevin, and Jay, who I believe brought out the first safety car. Wow, wow, wow. What a race. And I really did hope you enjoyed that, because I certainly did. It was just crazy from start to finish. There was no rain, but there were safety cars. And I think we thought that the alternate strategy was going to do it today, but Marcus just didn't have the overall pace in terms of the other runners, of Lenny Papinta, obviously, Jake Dempsey and Chandler and all the other medium runners as well. So, to be fair, it's to be expected. But Lenny did very, very well, but obviously we'll be investigating. I can't say who was at fault there. I really can't. If I move my mic a little bit because it's a bit too far away. I can't really say who's at fault. I really can't. It's up to the stewards. It's not up to me at this stage, and I'll obviously keep you informed as the race week unfolds. So we are gonna be, as I move my mic a little bit again, you probably can barely see me. So we are gonna be going for driver interviews then. So I will be asking, as we do have a driver in the interview box already. So we're going to be getting I'm going to undeafen myself, and I'm going to be going to the interview screen. There we go. Hopefully that's all good. So here we go then. Let's speak to one of the mans of the moment, a man who probably did not think he was going to get P2. Mr. Saiter, congratulations. No penalties, and that benefited you a lot, and you managed to get your first podium of the season, and better than that, P2. Tell us, how do you feel?
I was not expecting that. I had no pace that race. It was a struggle. I was struggling with my ERS, the cornering, I felt like I had no straight line speed. But then after the safety car, it seemed like I was just able to stay with, and I wasn't being pressured the whole time. And so I was finally able to keep with. And then I don't know what happened. I thought maybe it'd be P4 after penalties, but then I crossed the line on P2, and I was shocked by that. But that result is a good result for me.
Yeah, it is as well, because obviously you were a bit worried about this track beforehand, but your previous worries are probably not as worried not at the moment as well. Talks about the start of the race, because you did seem to struggle a little bit as well. Were you worried that you were gonna not get points after that, or were you just concentrating on the rest of the race?
Well, I got P2 off the start, but then I was really struggling on those softs, and I wasn't really thinking points was out of the question, but I was expecting myself to just start falling down the order. But then I found myself around 4th or 5th, and then that's where I stuck. So I knew I was fighting for about that position, but I knew the win wasn't really going to be in the question at that point with how it was looking. But yeah, I was struggling on those softs.
Yeah, because I think you're probably glad to get onto the medium tyres as early as you can. And when you saw the people like Morgan and people from the mediums go to the softs in the safety car, surely you realised that you made the right decision, or did you ever doubt yourself there?
I knew the soft was the right decision, or the medium, sorry, but I knew the tire wear would be high. So when the safety car came out, I thought it wasn't going to be good with only 3 medium runs by me, but then it turned out that it ended up working out. But after that, I knew the tires would make it just fine. But I knew it would be a bit of a stretch, but in the end, it worked.
Yeah, so you got your season off to a flying start, and we head to Russia next week, and you got no penalties this week. Can you keep your penalty-free form next week going into a track where you can get quite a lot? How are you feeling about it?
I think I can keep it on the track. I don't think that's going to be the problem. I think it's just the pace. That is not a good track for me. Like, I thought this wasn't a good track for me, but Russia is just a whole another step. But eventually we'll get to the good tracks for me. But Russia, it's just going to be try and finish with no penalties, and that'll be that.
Well, I'm going to let you go and celebrate. And also you got to get some practice for Tier 1 tomorrow night. So hopefully that should give you confidence for that as well. What are your expectations going into that?
Well, I'm not going to be there for Xbox Tier 1. Yeah. I'll be there for Russia next week, but not this week in Imola. So
there you go. So I would have told you to get the dub tomorrow, but you're not here.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I did do well there last season, though, but I won't get the chance this season. So.
But at least you could sit back and relax and go and celebrate with your amazing P2. Best of luck for next week around Russia.
Yeah, thank you.
Right then, so that is it then, because I don't think we've got Leroy Brown or Lenny Papinta for interviews, unfortunately. So, but at least we had one. One is better than none, I have to say. So thank you to Saito for coming in to the interview box. And I have to say, what a race once again. We really hoped you enjoyed it. We had a peak of around about, I think, 32, 33 viewers at one point. So that was brilliant. So thank you very much to everyone that came about, and my voice is pretty much dead, so I'm very, very glad I'm going to have a co-com alongside me next week. Luke Etheridge will join alongside me next week for the Russian Grand Prix, and he's going to be there for the rest of the season with me, and I'm sure he's going to be catching up on what just happened, and it's going to be like, what just happened? And I will be catching up with him at some point, just in case he hasn't watched the races, just to see so he knows what's going on, and I'm sure he's going to be very, very excited for the races ahead. So, like we said earlier, Russia is going to be our next track. I'm looking forward to that one, but obviously a few drivers are not as looking forward to that as others, but at least they're going to get that track out of the way before the next few tracks come their way, which is going to be absolutely spectacular. I like Russia, but I think a few people don't. But anyway, I'm going to let you go and celebrate. Make sure you check Xbox Tier 1 tomorrow at 8 PM UK time with, I can't remember who the commentators are for that. I think it's Warder, and I think it's either Jish or Beacon. So one of those three will be in the commentary box, so make sure you check them. And then we got the Xbox tiers throughout the week. PS Tier 1 on Friday at 8 PM, and then of course we've got Tier 1 at 7, and then us at 8 PM next Sunday. So that has been a dramatic end to the race, and we will see you same time next week for I literally I'm lost for words at the moment, but it was a good race anyway. So we will see you for the Russian Grand Prix. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
On his debut, Jarno Uppbeat wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron Hart takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Around the outside! outside operatic line shadow is contact to get Ron is around.
Melanie, surely it's going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.